Hi, this is Tim.
And this is Amber.
And welcome to another episode of the podcast that still doesn't have a name. Our guest with us today is very familiar to most of you. It is the better half of TW Controls, Amber. They can't see you waving. It's a podcast.
Hi. I'm waving hi.
But we'll probably put this on YouTube also, and you have like this whole Mandalorian thing going on. What exactly is up there?
I'm trying out for the new Mandalorian role.
Yeah, and so that's where we're going to leave this at. So what do you think is this contraption that Amber has going on here, and how do you think it happened? So Amber.
So Tim, what are we going to talk about today?
Yeah. So if you hadn't noticed, this is actually our first episode where we are going to try to converse together.
Oh my gosh, without a script, no doubt.
Well, and you would never believe it, guys, because we almost never talk. We don't see each other often. We are married. Did you guys know that? Yes, my business partner is also my wife. And yeah, we are pretty much stuck at the hip 24/7.
Yes.
And that's probably one of the big questions we get. And I hate to see this episode is about work-life balance, but yeah, everybody asks us, how do you balance work and life and all the other things?
And I usually answer with, it's intertwined. I mean, it is life.
Yeah, and that's, actually that's a very good one, intertwined, because I think a lot of people think that, you have to have a work-life balance, and they're showing it like a scale. And at least for us, it doesn't. It is a someday weaved mess.
It is.
Some days it is weaved more of the kids and personal things, and some days it's more of automation. And really, I think it's probably more than a balance. I think it's a give and take.
It is.
Yes.
It is a give and take. And if you don't have communication, oh my gosh, not only in marriage, but also in business, then you won't make it.
Yeah. Well, and aside from the fact that we're together 24/7, you think about it with just a regular business partner. You're gonna see them at least 8 hours a day. I mean, you spend 8 hours sleeping, so you probably only have 8 hours left. So you're gonna spend more time maybe with your business partner than you will with your spouse. So yeah, you've got to communicate with them.
And there's no such thing as over communication. You can repeat yourself a million times. Why are you laughing? I like over communication. I like to be told many things many times.
Well, yeah, and I think she keeps telling me the same thing over and over, expecting a different result out of me. And some things you just can't change.
We're getting there. After 15 years, we're getting there.
Here we go. This is the episode where we're not even talking about automation. Apparently, this is marriage counseling.
Marriage counseling 101. Just drop all your questions to us. We'll answer them.
We should have gone live. Should we try live sometime?
Yeah, we should try that.
I mean, really. I think we can pretty quickly roll off questions.
What do you guys think? Should we do live sometime?
Hey, we can make it live, and then they can answer us right now. How are we going to know what they're answering?
Or what they're asking?
Yeah, well,
Because we're going to answer.
They have the little, they have the little keyboard thingy. They can type their questions in, and if we were live, they could. Now we'll just have to wait for the comments and see what they think. But here we are. What are we? 5 minutes into this, and we haven't even started.
The most asked question is, how did we become who we are today after 15 years, or is it 14 years? We've been married, it's almost 16, yeah, it's 15 years, because this year we'll be married 16 years.
I'm just glad she rolled that off and she didn't actually ask me how long we've been married. Thank you, Jesus.
Because you got it wrong the other day, and it was awesome.
I get it wrong every time.
But we get a lot of questions. How did we get started? How did we even come up with this? And the story is really quite simple and very sweet, but also stressful for some people.
And yeah, it's simple and sweet, yet stressful and complicated.
Yeah.
And I think the big part to realize is that the road we started off on with this company is not the road we're on now.
That's true.
And it did take a little bit of speed bumps and running off cliffs and
And
everything
try new
else.
things. If you don't try and if you don't make mistakes, you're not going to learn. And that's what we've discovered throughout this journey.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'll call it.
The journey.
The journey. The idea or concept of this was my husband's, and I don't really remember because I was very pregnant.
Yeah, so to back up, if we're going to talk about getting started, and the dumbest business advice that we can give you is, we both quit our jobs 8 months pregnant with our first kid. What the sneezing over there? Speaking of, there goes one of the kids over there. There goes the other kid. And you wonder why it takes us so long to get anything done. It's right over this way is one kid, right over that way is the other kid. You do have to keep them separated, otherwise
It's not a joyous occasion.
It is not, it's
Just kidding. They're great. You're great kids.
You are.
But so Tim came up with the idea of, why don't we start our own business?
When really we had come from two different backgrounds. I mean,
very different.
Yeah, and really, I guess not just my dad, but on back through the family, they had always been a little bit, I don't know, did you call them business people or more of horse traders?
Horse traders.
They'd always figured out some interesting ways to make money that probably was not completely your typical 9-to-5 job. And, so for me, it was not, at least on the outside, looking at the rest of the family, wasn't that ginormous of a deal. And I think Amber, it might have been a little more stressful.
I was a little stressed, a little bit. And my background is marketing, so coming together on this, I knew nothing of the industry, and there's no online schooling that you could have to be a part of this industry, or there wasn't then. And so
As I say, wait a second. Don't we put some training out there for this?
Aren't we in the PLC lab? I'm getting to that, Tim. Gosh, you're like trying to take over my story. But no, I was going to say, a lot of questions we also get, even asking like, how did we get started, is where did you go to college? We call it the School of Hard Knocks. And one of the things I keep telling the younger generation that we're mentoring now, we tell them that you will never stop learning in this industry. Every day is a new experience, or every week's a new experience. And for me, it was the College of Hard Knocks. I married into the industry. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, but then when I figure out what I'm doing, it's like a celebration in my brain, because I figure it out. But that's what you have to do. You have to leave your comfort zone in order to get anything accomplished, in my opinion. If you stay comfortable where you are, you're just not going to be happy. So.
Oh, keep going. You're doing a great job. Oh, by the way, let's rename this episode. Welcome to the Amber's Automation
Therapy.
Tips.
Yeah.
I need another A. Amber's Automation Advice. Welcome to Amber's Automation Advice.
Today's special guest is Tim Wilborne, who has been in the industry for... No, I mean, wouldn't you say that though?
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with everything you're saying.
And so when we started the company, of course, it was going to be intertwined in our lives because it was in our kitchen. And from there, it went to a small work building on our property that was dilapidated and almost falling apart. But, then it moved to a building, and then, it kept moving around. So
till here.
PLC lab.
No.
So, the kids were always on our hips, or always in the office with us, or even on work sites when we would travel. So
like when I'm sitting here giving me a face right now doing a dance, and it's like so in the videos, I mean you see them always there. It's because really there was nowhere else to put them. That was it. That was the whole place.
And it's not a 9-to-5 job. And that was hard for me at first, because I came from an industry that you clocked in, clocked out, and you left your work at work.
Well, and you are right. And that is the one piece of probably cold advice I give to a lot of people. If you love going to your job, clocking in, clocking out, leaving everything there and not worrying about till the next day. One, being a business owner is not for you, but also being in this industry in general is not for you, because this is an industry that's really difficult to really shut your mind off a lot of times. I just had somebody the other day, they're looking at starting out. Their first thought was, okay, well, how much time do you set aside for vacation? How much time do you set aside for sick days? And it's like, I mean, it's like, well, we've been at it for 14 years, and yeah, we're still struggling with that. Sick days are really difficult when you're a two-person company, especially when one of you gets sick. Chances are the other one's sick since they're right beside of you. In vacations, I always tell everybody, you got to learn to enjoy the slow times. Mm-hmm. And they may not be, everybody, oh, it's July, let's go to the beach. Well, July is really the peak of this industry. You're not going to the beach. You're going to start learning to enjoy winter somehow. We don't really enjoy winter, so maybe we're
going to buy some beachfront property in Arizona.
Yes. That is a difficult part of it. Where were you even at before I interrupted you?
I don't know, but I like where you're going. And also, we're talking about the aspects of owning a small business too. We're getting into that. Everybody says, oh, it must be nice to make your own schedule, or it must be nice to be able to stop and go whenever you want. And like Tim said, no, we cannot do that, because like he said, summertime is our peak time, and you do have to enjoy the downtime and figure out ways to get the kids, on a tiny vacation. And our tiny vacations usually is a long weekend because we still have to work.
When it drives Amber crazy, I just can't sit still that long. We go to the beach and, I've been there 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, what are we going to do next?
But I'm used to that now. It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yes, fine.
It's fine. What else? We're always changing.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's an important part. Now you shouldn't be darting. You shouldn't dart from one place to the next. Mm-hmm. You do have to be able to look at what you're doing and figure out what's working, what's not working. Boy, that could be its own podcast.
I was just thinking the same thing, because I was thinking the words, and then you said them, and I was like, oh my gosh, that could be a whole.
Because we just at the like I said, wintertime is slow, so we just got going through going over every single thing we do, and it's like, okay, what works, what doesn't work, and let's save that. Let's save that for another podcast.
Yeah, let's do that, because that would also be a good.
Put that down.
That would also be a good episode to talk about, like, don't freak out in the months of January and February, because most of your industry customers are looking at their year ahead and doing their budgeting. So don't freak out. And always try to have a business plan.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
And that, now I will not go into that. Now here's an interesting one. No, I do agree with Amber. You need a business plan, but by golly, you do not need a business plan that's laid out for the SBA. You need an operating business plan that says, hey, what are our goals? What are we trying to do? How are we getting there? What money do you need to make to do what you want to do? Absolutely don't go Google business plan and go end up at the Small Business Administration website and download their template. That is not an operating business plan. Mm-mm. Now, our business plan looks like nothing that you've ever seen before.
Color coded.
Well, yeah. Now, Amber did add color coding to it, but I mean, it doesn't even have complete sentences. I mean, it's not about that. It's about really, okay, what are our goals? How do we get there? There's a lot of flow charts. There's a lot of, various ideas. But what I was getting at before that is, I won't share with you our business plan, and I won't share any of that type of information. That's probably the question we get the most is, what about the details? What do we need to do to get a business started? And that was probably the one thing I'll say we were the weakest at when we started business. I knew how to build control panels. I knew how to program PLCs. I could do almost anything as far as that. I didn't know how to go get a customer. I didn't know how to. Well, I knew halfway to how to do accounting, because actually in college that was more of what mine was business. But you go through the engineering or whatever you're in, And you learn just those things. But yeah, I mean, you get out there and it's like, hey, how do I send a bill to somebody? How do I, set aside taxes? And yeah, that is not something we cover on this channel. We'll talk to you about automation, and we'll talk to you about, the College of Hard Knocks that we've gone through. But yeah, we won't give you advice on how to fill out a business license or anything like that.
Well, and anybody's business plan, it's very unique to what you do. So not one is the same.
Right, and I guess was my point initially is, you need to make it unique. Don't have a business plan just to say you have a business plan. I mean, really, and for us, it is the slow time is December. I mean, every December, that's what we start looking at is, hey, what has worked, what has not worked? What do we need to axe, and what do we need to figure out how to shift a little direction?
And you also need to be flexible. It's not going to go according to what you're predicting.
You should talk about how you were able to work how you're able to work while still having children in your environment and raising them. There's small businesses out there that probably do have a big family, but they don't know what to do while they work.
Well, we don't know what to do with you guys while we work. That's why it's always a zoo around here. Having your own business, especially a family business with kids, we didn't do it necessarily because it was the easiest path. I mean, right now, you got one on one side talking, one on the other side talking, and yeah, we got to pause and go help them with schoolwork. There's always something to do.
But I would not have it any other way.
Oh no, I wouldn't either.
Because we do that is the benefits of owning a business, is you do have those opportunities to take them to orthodontist appointments or pick them up from school, or be able to be with them on sick days, we have that. I think for me is the best part about being a business owner is we do have the opportunity to be with our children.
Mm-hmm. Now, I will counter that though with, yes, we have great opportunities, and I would not take back a single bit of that. But that doesn't mean that we have free time. In other words, if we stop and go do something, then we're working later.
We'll pay for it later.
Yeah, this is a from when you wake up and your eyes open till chances are your eyes closed type of job. And yeah, in between that, we do manage to hang out with the kids, do things with them, and all that fun in between.
Mm-hmm. And have time for each other.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Where were we even at? We have gotten so far. Yeah, we're going to need a little bit of script. We're going to need you guys to have some questions. Because I don't even know where in the world we were. But okay, so early, you were saying that you married into this, and you came from a marketing background, had nothing to do with automation. So when did it click for you?
It clicked for me when I went to our first automation fair.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were walking around, I thought for sure I would feel left out, or I didn't feel like a part of something. And at that time, and this is going back to women in STEM, at that time, there weren't a lot of women there. Of course, that was, 5 or 6 years ago?
We still need more women.
We still need more women in STEM. However, I did feel a little awkward in that sense. And walking around with Tim, you start looking at things, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I know what that does, and I know what that is, and oh, look at that, and we could use that. So it started clicking then, because I'm a very visual person. That was super helpful, and all the pretty lights in there. I love me a push button light, so pretty. But I was going to tell you the story of when I finally realized that I was a big part of this company, and you and I were truly, I guess, business partners, is when somebody came up to us at the automation fair and said, well, what does the wife do while you're working all day? Does she bake and clean and take care of the kids? And I was like, or no, I think you said you were you were like, nope, she's right there beside me doing all the things I do, getting her hands dirty. And so I was just, my eyes got kind of big, and I remember I let Tim answer that, but later I was just like, what? Like, oh my gosh. But I think that's when I realized, like, oh my gosh, you and I are in this together, and we are, truly business partners. Because I feel like sometimes if somebody asks that question, I'll be like, no, he's the one. doing the laundry and taking care of the kids and cooking dinner and grocery shopping while I work, but I don't do that because we both do it.
Well, yeah, and I was getting ready to say, and that's the interesting part about it is, and we do, I don't know why we do it, but we pass things back and forth a lot of times. So there are times where she's in there building control panels, and yeah, maybe I'm running around with the kids doing things, and I'm doing the accounting, and then all of a sudden we'll swap roles for whatever reason, because with the kids a lot of times it's a tag team wrestling match. It's probably it. And also that gives us a little break or a little variety probably.
Yeah, it is a variety in our day. What am I saying? Our days are full of variety.
Yeah, there's always variety.
The same thing. It is never the same thing every day. And I will say, also, if you're looking to start a business or get into this industry, this is not monotonous work. This is different every single day. We're going into a situation every day. I didn't know we were going to do a podcast until this morning. And we're like, let's do a podcast. Okay, let's do it.
If you haven't figured it out yet, most of our videos are pretty unscripted. We grab a product and we start talking. But hey, I didn't actually bring this up. We're talking about, you being part of the company and feeling part of the company. Why is Amber on here today? Well, I asked for your feedback on this podcast. And the number one thing I got is, where is Amber? When do we get to hear from her? It doesn't matter what I show you in a how-to. It's just like, where's Amber? Okay, well, here she is.
It's nice. I have fans. Well, but with our industry, though, it's like our littles that we've mentored over the years, they're women in this industry. And you just don't hear a woman talking about flux capacitors. I had a whole line. I was like, I'm just going to keep it simple and we'll just keep it the flux capacitors. So you didn't really give me a lot of direction on where to go with this podcast because we're winging it.
Yeah, I really grabbed her this morning. It's like, hey, I need a podcast done. Do you want to go do a podcast real quick?
Okay.
And yeah, and here's what you got.
But we'd love to hear your questions or comments, and then we will do a follow-up to this podcast with answers to your questions because really you guys are what makes us great.
Yeah.
And you guys are the reason why we do what we do.
Well, and you bring up the question part, and really, obviously this is very early on in this podcast series, but I'm kind of envisioning, and I'm not there yet, so we've still got a little ways to go, and I may change my mind on this, but I'm really thinking that questions that are, let's say, asked between when this podcast goes out and when we record to the next podcast, that will be the ones that we select from that we'll answer in that one. Mm-hmm. So this will be a real, almost Q&A. I don't know, do we want to try doing this live?
Well, let them tell us.
They can't. They can't hit the chat button. We're recording.
Let them comment or send us advice.
So a few questions for you to follow to end this one up is, first, should this be live? Now, here's the question: could we really manage to do a live podcast at a set time every week? It would almost have to be a weekend podcast.
Yeah, because we don't. Like we just told our viewers, we don't have the same day every day.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to schedule things.
But we might be willing to try it. Okay, first of all, do we need a set time if we were to do a live podcast? Also, what do you think about the idea of, really any question asked between when this podcast comes out and the next podcast, that we just pull those almost like out of a lottery, and that's what we'll address that week. So that's very spontaneous.
It is spontaneous, but also it gives us the opportunity to hear from you, the viewers, and then it also gives us the opportunity to see what else we can talk about. They might say, hey, I really want to learn about, or I want you guys to talk about. And
yeah, maybe we should do a mix of them. So maybe here, we could probably pull this off. What if maybe once a month we did a live podcast. It really is a Q&A. And the others are like, we've gotten some great questions that I'm going to address in future podcasts. One, and we're going to break this one into, this could be 100 podcasts, is what are the steps to get in the automation industry? So that'll be a great one, and I'll have to figure out how to chop it up. But what makes a great programmer? Now, there was a broad question, but I think we can give some great advice on it. We also have one about what is this electricity that everybody's talking about? And honestly, when I got this question, I may do a poll on this one. I was explaining electricity to someone, and they're like, okay, but what's actually going through that wire? What's oozing out of that wire? And so I started asking people, what exactly is electricity? And nobody could answer it. And we're talking about pros here. Nobody could answer it really. They're all like, well, just think of it like water flow. It's like, but it's not. What is it? So that's kind of a fun one we got coming. We have one coming on dealing with burnout. And I think that is probably an important one that you have to continually manage. Now we have one that Amber even says I should not touch. How much did you charge? But I think that's a great question, and I think we can all learn a lot from it. And there's nothing hidden here. It's all math in the end. And then we already have some new hater questions, and I don't know, maybe we'll do that occasionally. Also, we have a nice pool of short questions that have come in. And that's what I think we're going to continue just pulling out of those and just answer them. So maybe once a month we'll do that, is just answer some really short questions instead of having an episode on something in particular. So we've got some neat podcast ideas coming out.
But we still want to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. Well, these are your ideas. I mean, everything that's written here, when you get a response from me and I say, hey, I'll put it on the list, this is that list. How do we even end this?
I don't know.
We need a name for this podcast.
Yes, we do. That's another thing. We need a name for this podcast, and I don't know what our end note would be.
Yeah, because right now our end note is, hi, this is Tim and this is Amber. Oh, that part still works. But thanks for attending our channel. YouTube thinks something, and this isn't YouTube necessarily.
No, because it's like this might work for you, and
we're pointing places, and you can't see us pointing
I'm like,
here.
hey, thanks for finding us.
Yeah, this podcast needs a name. If you can put down in the comments what you think. So we've asked you to do a ton of things in the comments.
It's up to you guys.
Yes, because really, this podcast, the direction of it is completely up to you guys.
No, I mean, I like what you say. Until next time, and see ya. Not the singer.
Okay. Did you want me to do that, or did you just take care of all that then?
No, you go ahead and do it.
Till next time.
Don't do it with all the laughter. Just be like,
till next time.
No, God. Till next time. See ya.
Oh my goodness. Anything else? There we go. It's like this all day. There's another cut.
All day.
Yep.
All day.
Till next time.
See ya.
Hey, this is Tim.
And this is Amber of TW Controls. We run the automation store. Hey, thanks for finding our channel.
Here's a playlist with some similar videos.
And YouTube thinks you'll like this video.
Please like our video and subscribe to our channel.
And if our videos have helped you make some money and you're not using our products, please consider supporting us on Patreon.
Till next time.
See ya!